Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today is just going to be me and Reggie. So following on from last Sunday's video, you've now bought your new caravan or motorhome. Now we're going to have a look at the things that you might want to consider buying to go in it. So buying your new caravan or motorhome is the easy bit. Now you need to work out of the list of things that I'm going to give you, what suits you, what interests you, what you think are must-haves, and what are luxury items. Even if you've owned a caravan or a motorhome for a long time, hopefully I'll be able to give you some inspiration. So the way that we've listed things might not be the same for everybody, but we've got like our ultimate requirements, your kind of must-have items, your luxury items, if you like, and then we're going to give you just some ideas of some of the things that we have had in the caravan. We don't necessarily carry it all at the same time. We have some summer stuff, we have some winter stuff, but yeah, just remember you can't carry all this stuff at once because obviously you need to be careful of the weight inside your caravan, but just some ideas that might be able to help you out with some problems that you're going to face. So we know that owning a caravan or a motorhome can be quite a costly business. We're not actually going to go into the cost of these individual items. We're going to be doing another video next Sunday, which is going to maybe go into a little bit more detail about the costs, the hidden costs of caravanning or motorhoming. And also, if you have pets like little Reggie here, then make sure you come back and join us on Wednesday. We're going to be going through all of the things that we have in the caravan and the car, I guess, to make it easy for us and comfortable for this little fella. So before I start, obviously I've mentioned caravan and motorhomes in the start of this video. Now the list that we're giving is specifically around what we found useful for our caravan. Some items won't be necessary in a motorhome, but there's definitely some items that will help you. So within each section, there's no particular order. So we'll start with our absolute requirements. So you will need an aqua roll and a waste master. Now, of course, you could be on fully serviced pitches where you don't require those. Then you will require the right length of hose. I would recommend that you have an aqua roll or a waste master anyway. Not every site you're going to go on is going to be fully serviced, and we have been on fully serviced sites where we haven't had the right length of hose in, and we've still had to use both of those items. If you are going to be using the aqua roll, make sure you carry the metal A-shaped thing because you're not going to want to carry that back with 40 litres of water in, so you're going to want to roll it along the floor, and that makes the job a lot easier. So in terms of the car, you're going to need to make sure that you have towing mirrors. Make sure that you get a good quality set that have a good size face on them, but also, you know, the better quality, the less vibrations you're going to have. If you look in both mirrors at the same time, you'll notice that your car mirror barely moves, but with the wind and the vibration of the car, your towing mirrors can sort of be quite hard to focus in, so make sure you get a decent set of those. You're also going to need a number plate for the back of the caravan, which is going to match your tow car. Make sure that you are carrying some electric cable with you. Some people prefer to have a shorter cable and a longer cable. Myself, I always just carry a 25 metre cable, and then of course I make sure that I unroll it every place we go. Some places you do only require a short amount, but you don't want to get stuck somewhere where the point that you plug in is 15-20 metres away. The other thing that you will just need to check with your caravan is that it comes with a leisure battery. Now, if you buy new or second hand, there's every chance that it will have one. Make sure that you have a set of bedding in the caravan. You may wish to have a summer set and a winter set, but just, you know, make sure that you have it stored in the caravan. If you were to maybe bring it from home each time and then you forget, it's going to be, especially this time of year, not a pleasant stay with no quilt. Make sure that you've got a step for the caravan. Now, for different people, these can be different things. You can buy just the one step. You can buy the ones like ours that go up, so you've got 2 steps into the caravan. Some people have the steps that have the handle on the side, so if you maybe need to hold on to something as you're getting in, it's quite a drop, to be honest, so having that handle would be useful if you require it. Now, I said that this wasn't in any particular order, but actually I would put this one at the top. Make sure you've got security. Everything else is maybe what you require for your very first trip, but as soon as you take ownership of your caravan or motorhome, make sure you've got the right security. We would absolutely recommend a good wheel lock and a good hitch lock. If you want to go that one step further, some people remove the wheel. That does seem like a little bit of hassle, but it's a good way of preventing someone from taking it. You can get the locks that go in over the steadies where you put your drill in or your winder to put them down, so you can put them in, all four of them. Obviously, if you've got a motorhome, you can get a wheel lock, you can get a box that goes over your pedals. I think I might have said it in the last video, but you won't stop someone from stealing your caravan if they absolutely want it, but you can make it less attractive. So if your caravan's parked with a load of others and yours seems to be the one that's going to take absolutely hours to get everything off, then you know, you're just making it less appealing. Toilet fluids. So this one will divide some people, because I know some people don't use their toilets at all. So like where we're staying at the moment, the toilet block is just there. But if you are planning on using your toilet at all, then you will need to make sure you have something like the pink flush and the blue for the cassette. Some sites only let you use green, and of course if you're using green, some of those you can use the same liquid in the flush and in the cassette. Ramps and levelers. Now, if you're lucky enough to have an automatic leveling system, then you won't require these. Our very first trip that we went on, I didn't bring any ramps, and I ended up having to borrow a set off of the Wardens. I say a set, I never understand with a caravan why you need two. You're only going to put one side up. I know motorhomes often use them more as chocks than as ramps, but yeah, just make sure that you've got something, because you will really notice the difference in the caravan if it's lopsided. Make sure you carry a box of spare fuses. Make sure that they're the right fuses for your caravan. And yeah, it's hopefully one of those things that you're going to need either never or very rarely, but sometimes it's difficult to tell which fuse has gone. So having one of each at least means that you can remove one, put another one in, try it, remove one, put it in. More modern caravans have the light, a little tiny light next to each one, and that's a bit of a giveaway. But you are going to want to make sure that if you're on a site, particularly if it's night time or something like that, that you don't have to try and find somewhere, which you probably won't be able to, and just carry a small lightweight box of spare fuses. So I'm going to mention these even though we've done these in our safety video, but a fire extinguisher, a carbon monoxide monitor, and a smoke alarm. Those sort of things are going to save your life, and it's just non-negotiable. So carry a torch with you. You are almost certainly going to be staying overnight. I don't see many people taking their caravan just for the day. Some of these sites, which I'll be honest is how I prefer them, I love the stars and watching the skies and that, so some of these sites can go pitch black at night, and when you're trying to walk the dog and, you know, maybe pick their toilet up, or you're trying to find the binge, you're trying to go for a shower, whatever, if it's not a well lit site, you are going to require a decent torch. Just bear in mind that a head torch is also handy if you're walking the dog, because then it means you are hands free. So consider some cleaning materials of your caravan. It's not just about making sure that your caravan looks nice. I'm sure we've all been to sites where you can pick out caravans that are looked after better than others, but it will help to sort of prolong the life of your caravan, and may mean that you require less maintenance. The other option to that is, you know, if you can afford it and you don't want to do it yourself, is to pay someone else to do it for you. It's not cheap, but you know, if you get a good company, good business to do it for you, then it's going to save you the back-breaking work. So two more in this section. One of them is more obvious than the other. So a tow car. You're going to need a tow car, and as we mentioned before, that is got to be factored into whether you can afford to buy a caravan. Basically, you need to make sure that it's going to be suitable to tow, but also that you want something that's going to be powerful enough. You know, when you're driving down the motorways and you're overtaking lorries and stuff, having something that is stretched to the bare minimum just doesn't give you that comfort that you can pull out, overtake, and then return to the slow lane. With the tow car, also consider the size in the car. We're very lucky to have a very big car, and it means we don't have to pack that well. But particularly if you're travelling with children, obviously you're going to have the back seats taken up, and you're going to have their stuff as well. And you know, we spoke about sort of putting too much stuff in the caravan because of the weight restrictions. So just make sure that you have ample space. Now the next thing is probably less obvious, and I will definitely overlay a clip of me using this. I've actually now had to use it once, and I'm so thankful I had it with me, is the the 13-pin aligner. So it's a little gadget, green gadget. I'll overlay the clip. You just put it on, you turn it, and it just realigns your pins. I would have been stuck without it, for sure. We would have been going nowhere fast. So our next category is our must-have items. So the other ones were like ultimate requirements. This is our must-have items. I've kind of split this by our must-have items and luxury items because some of them come with a bigger cost. I'm going to start this with motor movers because obviously they're not cheap. We don't necessarily rely on them, you know, but it does just make life easy. And I think, you know, if you've had motor movers, you're probably not going to go back to having no motor mover. It's really, really useful. I can't really put it any other way than that. It shouldn't be a requirement. Everyone should be able to reverse. You know, I'm sure we'll get some comments that people will say back in the day those things didn't exist and we just done it. Well, caravans were probably a lot lighter then. I think the thing we struggle with is that our car is very long and our caravan's very long, and that makes it difficult when you've got something in front of you that you can't kind of get that right angle to come back in a straight line. So yeah, maybe not a requirement, but for us it is a must-have. Okay, so an awning, sun canopy, something along those lines. Of course it's not a must-have, but for us, particularly on longer stays, it gives you that extra outdoor space. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You will be able to find a video we did a few weeks ago on our outdoor setup, so all of our outdoor inflatables. But yeah, for us it is a must-have for those longer stays. So if your caravan doesn't already come with one, it might be wise to stretch to an alarm. These alarms are several things. They're sensors, so if someone comes into your caravan, the alarm will go off, but they're also done on whether your caravan then gets sort of tipped up or down. So obviously if someone's going to come along, they'll need to pull it up to get it up to the tow bar and then drop it down, and the alarm will go off in that instance. So the other thing that I think most people have is a drill and a drill bit to be able to put the steadies up and down. Let me tell you, they're so much easier than the traditional keep fit method of turning them. And don't get me wrong, they're not too bad. The way they're designed, the steadies come down quick enough, but going along with the drill is so much easier. So while we're on the steadies, get yourself a decent set of steady feet. So I'm going to have to overlay a clip so that if you don't know what I mean, you can see. But basically, the steadies themselves quite often are quite thin, quite pointy. And if you're on wet grass and stuff like that, they will just sink in. If you get something to put the steady on, the blocks, they clip to them. So once they're on, you never have to worry about them again. But they just give you that little bit extra to put the weight of the caravan on. So Sara's just come back from her shower, and we know who's the dog's favourite because he's now left me. So the other thing to consider is outside chairs. We are just getting to that point in the year now where if the sun comes out, we might be able to sit outside. It's still quite cold when it's cloudy, but make sure you've got outside furniture. The whole point of going away in a caravan or a motorhome is to enjoy the great outdoors, the outdoor living, keeping them in the car. We keep them in the car all the time, actually. So if we go out for a ride and we want to stop somewhere, we can do, but just make sure you've got comfortable chairs. Now, this one will divide people. I'm sure we're with the majority, but get yourself a TV, get yourself a decent TV. Maybe don't fall into the trap of having to buy a specific 12-volt caravan TV. If you're planning on going off-grid, then okay, that might be more of a requirement. We just bought you know, a bog standard 32-inch TV. It's a smart TV, so I'm able to connect my phone and use my data plan to be able to watch things like YouTube, Netflix, and then even if we don't have good TV signal, then we can still get iPlayer, All4, ITVX, all of that kind of stuff. Get yourself a gas bottle. You may use lots of gas, you may use hardly any. We're on the side of not using very much at all. We tend to always choose EHU, electrical hookup pitches. We rely on electric for most things. Gas can be useful, obviously, in the event of a power cut, but we use it for our gas barbecue as well. I wouldn't really be comfortable going away without gas, just in case something was to happen. You can also go down the line of safe fill, which is a bit of a larger investment for the bottle, but then if you can find somewhere to top it up, it's a cheaper way of getting the gas itself. So consider getting a nice, and I say nice because they're all quite nice, but a nice melamine set. So you can get a pack of plates, bowls, mugs, that kind of thing. You don't want any china in the Caravan. There is a lot of vibration. You probably never get to experience it, but there's a lot of vibration in the Caravan while you're moving, and you're guaranteed to pick up chips and stuff like that. Not chips as in fish and chips, but you're going to smash your plates basically. Yeah, there's loads of different sets out there, loads of really cool sort of colours and patterns and that sort of thing. The other bonus of that is they're quite lightweight compared to china, and weight is, as I keep saying, very important. Get yourself a kettle. Who doesn't like a brew in the morning or a cup of coffee? So make sure that you have a kettle and also a toaster. Obviously, if it's something you don't use at home, then don't buy one for the Caravan, but it is always handy in the morning when you perhaps don't have too much stuff in, to just have a slice of toast or something like that for breakfast. So the next three things might be that you require all three. It might be that you want to choose one or two of them. So we've got a gas barbecue, we've got an electric skillet, and we have an air fryer. Now, I'm sure people are going to groan when they hear air fryer. People always seem to comment on how the prices of caravan sites have gone through the roof because everybody's bringing air fryers with them. As I've said many times, they're such a low usage item. That's kind of what they were brought onto the market for, that and being very quick. So yeah, okay, maybe you're using more electric than using your gas oven, but I don't think there's anything to worry about with an air fryer. So the next two things are quite similar, that is throws and blankets. Now, as you can see, we have throws over here. That's actually the colour of our furniture. That colour and dogs and probably children and actually adults, because we've both spilled drinks in here, doesn't really go. So having a throw means that if you have any of those accidents, then of course you can take them home and wash them. And blankets. Now, Sara's more of the blanket person than I am, but again, if it's really, really cold and at night you perhaps don't have the heating on so high, or your electric fails or your heating fails or anything like that, make sure that you've got some of these to keep you warm. So on to what we are calling our luxury items. First one is a solar panel. I kind of got a solar panel because I thought it meant we could go off grid and we could do all this wonderful stuff. One, they don't generate that much energy, and two, we don't live in a country where we see the sunshine that often. Still really pleased that we got it with the Caravan because it trickle charges the leisure battery and helps to keep that in good health. Another thing that you may want to invest in is a towing cover. They do help keep the front windows clean. Now, I do just clean the windows when we arrive, but they will also stop stone chips and stuff like that. They're a bit of a pain when you're trying to dry them on site, and some of them can be a bit of a pain to put in as well. But I'm sure if you buy from a decent brand, I know some are easier to install than others. So another thing that you might want to invest in, and actually I think this is more for motorhomers, is bikes, whether it be a traditional push bike or electric bikes. Now, if you are in a motorhome and you don't have a second car or a car with you, that might be your mode of transport. And obviously on a bike, you can cover some sort of serious distance in a short amount of time. But also for caravanners, if you just like getting out and about, maybe don't want to sort of drive in, there's some holidays when the roads are rammed and you can't park anywhere, then it is a useful way of seeing the town or the area that you've chose to stay in. Think about fridge space. Is the fridge in your caravan or motorhome going to be enough for what you require, particularly on longer stays? If not, think about getting a cool box. Now, there is a difference between a cool box and an outdoor fridge. I'll be honest, we looked into it quite a lot and couldn't really work out. I know what the difference is, but in terms of when you go into a shop and you pick a product up, trying to work out what it actually does. Now, we did buy a Sara. Was it a high gear? if it's not high gear, I'll put the name on the screen. We actually had a problem with our fridge one weekend where it didn't work, and I actually managed to fix it after that weekend. But we had to go out and buy one, and we don't use it very often, but it is very, very handy. Let's be honest, my Coke for my rum, my beers, Sara's cava, all goes in the fridge before we think about putting any food in there. So sometimes when we have the cool box, it does just mean that we have that extra space to keep cans and bottles in. Now, of course, this falls into the luxury category, and that's an inflatable sofa. You will be able to go back and see one of our very first videos, really, was a review of our inflatable sofa, but it is just a really nice way to lounge in your outdoor space. So maybe a little bit more luxury compared to awnings, which fell into the previous category. You might want to get yourself some windbreaks, whether they be inflatable ones or poled ones, but just something to give you a little bit of privacy and to kind of mark off your area. If you don't have one included in your awning, then maybe consider buying an outdoor carpet. Of course, if it's not going in an awning, it doesn't matter what sort of shape or size it is. But sometimes we've just put the sun canopy up and we've actually put the outdoor carpet just kind of underneath it. It doesn't fit, it's not the right size, but it just gives you that sort of feel. It takes away the stones and the gravel. And on some hard standing pitches, the stones and the gravel are not particularly nice. So having that outdoor carpet just means that maybe you can walk out there with nothing on your feet. Another luxury item, and this is our air conditioning unit. Now, we didn't actually pay for this as an extra. It came as part of a dealer special. We have used it several times in the summer, and it's well worth it when you get them really hot days. So you may want to consider having a tracker fitted to your caravan or motorhome. You do, of course, hear stories of people that have had them stolen and then they've basically ripped them out. So I guess the jury's out in terms of whether you bother or not. I don't think some of them are cheap, but it may be worth considering. The other thing to consider is an automatic levelling system. It can be a bit of a pain using those ramps that I told you about earlier in the video, but also it does give you that extra element of security. I think usually they put like a circuit breaker somewhere in your caravan that only you know about. Once that circuit breaker is turned off, basically, then it makes it near on impossible for them to lift the steadies, and when the steadies are down, you can't tow a caravan. So the next category is fairly inexpensive items, and if anything, they're probably just to give you a little bit of inspiration, things that you may or may not have already thought about having. So the first item on our list is some plastic sheeting. Now, we'll overlay a clip, but it's basically what we put down on the bathroom floor every time we come away from a site, so that we can put the aqua roll and the waste master. Both of those things tend to get sort of wet and dirty outside, particularly when the weather's not great. So rather than sort of having that standing on our floor, it just sits on a plastic sheeting. We have some very inexpensive sticky hooks that we've put in the cupboard in the bathroom to hang our toothbrushes from. Walkie-talkies are a really great idea, particularly if there's two of you or more, to have someone at the back of the caravan when you're either using the motor mover or reversing it in. Some people who go away with friends have one walkie-talkie in each car. Of course, we've all got mobile phones, but a walkie-talkie is just a cool way of being able to communicate quickly. You may want to think about having a shoe mat so you can wipe your feet. You might also want to think about having a shoe box. The area here by the door gets congested with shoes just when there's two of us, let alone if you've got kids and that sort of stuff. And if you've got kids that are going off and playing football 1 minute and then going off with trainers, you might have sort of, 6, 8, 10 pairs of shoes. So consider a box that you can maybe leave outside, that you can chuck dirty wellies and that sort of stuff in, and then just close up so that they don't get wet in the rain. If your caravan door isn't already home to a bin, and I know that some brands put a bin on the door like ours, then you might want to have a bin. You can leave it outside or in the awning, just to sort of have somewhere to put some rubbish, but just make sure that if it is outside that you're not leaving food and stuff like that, because you will get certain wildlife coming into your awning or into your space to maybe look for something to eat. So these two items, I'm going to overlay a clip. Sara has very kindly given us a twirl in her robe. Robes are great if you're using the shower blocks and that sort of stuff regularly. You can kind of dry in them. They're an easy thing to just sort of throw on over the top when you've had your shower and then walk back in. And also we use Dock and Bay towels, and Sara also has a Dock and Bay, what do you call it? Hair wrap. Now basically, the reason that they're so good is because they're lightweight, but they dry really quickly. And to be honest, they're no worse than a normal towel, either. They dry you. You might wonder why Sara's here and not actually in the video, but she's just been over to the shower block, as you just saw in that clip that I overlaid. Okay, so again, two very similar items. One is an extension lead and the other one is a TV cable extension lead. An extension lead is great if you're using appliances outdoors, but sometimes we have had the TV in the awning and then we're able to also have it plugged into the aerial point in here and take it outside. You may want to think about having some sort of laundry bag, so as and when you're going through clothes and they're becoming dirty, then you can put them into a bag and just take them straight home, take them straight to the washing machine when you get in and you haven't got sort of mixed dirty and clean clothes. We use the bag that our mattress topper came in. It's a perfect size bag. It does it's got plenty of space for us too, and it's got a nice little handle on it, so we just use that. But it just means that when we pack up, we know where our dirty washing is kept. We also have a collapsible washing up bucket. So this particular bucket sort of goes down to sort of like this sort of depth, but can be as big as this. It's really useful for taking pots and pans and all that sort of thing over to a washing up area and then obviously bringing them back. You might want to consider putting a clock up in your caravan. Quite often I always look up for somewhere to see what the time is, and I know we've all got it on our phones and our wrists, but yes, sometimes I like just looking up and seeing what the time is. The other thing is some lights. So we have various lights that we can hang from different areas. They can go outside, they can be, we've got a couple that have got stakes on so they can go into the ground. As I've said in this video, I like dark skies. I like to be able to sit out and watch the stars and that, but I don't think a few lights early in the evening are going to cause anyone any problems. But yeah, the other side of it is it just helps you if you've been down the pub to come back and know which caravan is yours. We find it really useful to have storage boxes and storage trays. The storage boxes mostly go underneath the bed, but they just kind of give everything their own space. Also, you will have seen in our van tour that we have most of our cupboards have storage trays in. A lot of these cupboards are quite high. The one in the kitchen where we keep all the sauces and stuff, we would just be sort of standing on our tiptoes, reaching up to the back, pulling one out. No, not the right one. We have a storage tray in there, so we can just pull the whole tray out, and then of course you can reach your salt, your pepper, your sauces, all of that sort of stuff, no problem. So this is my favourite item in life. We own two, one at home and one in the caravan, and that is a spider catcher. If you're not particularly fond of spiders, then you can safely, for them, remove them from the caravan, put them back into the outdoors where they absolutely belong, not hurting them and not having to get too close to them. Obviously, if you're not a wimp like me, then you could just pick it up in a glass or something and chuck it out the door. So while we're on critters, you may want to think about getting a fly zapper. You may want to think about getting one of those material domes that go over your food to stop flies and other things landing on it. If you have a caravan, particularly in the summer, and you don't have any air conditioning, then of course you're going to have windows and doors open, and you're almost certainly going to get flies coming into your caravan. You may want to consider some citronella candles for outside. As I've said before in my safety video, I would never recommend having candles inside the caravan, but for outside they do just help to keep the sort of mosquitoes and that sort of thing away from you. You can also buy table lights that are a bit like the fly zappers you see in kitchens and that sort of stuff, that help to sort of keep those things away from where you're sitting. So bring some games, have some games in the caravan. We can't trust the weather, so we never know when we might have planned a day out and we might now be sitting in. But it's also just a fun way to pass an hour or two in the evening when there's nothing on television. Now the last one in this category is a toilet brush. Just make sure that you stow it away safely when you are on the move. Okay, so the final category is probably a continuation of the last one, just maybe with the option to use these items from home, so bringing them from home rather than having separate ones. Of course, if you want to, then you can double up and have one in each place. So the first one is towels, which we've already covered with our dock and bay towels. The next one is a shower mat, like a bath mat. We have a separate one for in here. We don't use the shower in our caravan all the time, but when we do, we don't want puddles of water on the floor, so it's nice to just have something to walk out and step onto. Tea towels and dishcloths. Now, after every single weekend, we take it home, we wash them, but they are kind of like our caravan dishcloth and tea towels, and they get washed, they get dried, they get put back in a bag to come away with us the following weekend. Tea, coffee and sugar. Now, I wouldn't recommend leaving stuff like that, salt, pepper, in the caravan if you don't use it, for long periods of time, or if you don't use it for the entire winter. But because we're away most weekends, we have a separate container for each of those items. So that is also true for sauces and condiments. We also have a separate set of cutlery, so we have 4 knives, 4 forks, spoons, little spoons, all that sort of stuff. Obviously you could bring that from home, but it's something that I'm sure we would forget. So this one is incredibly important to a lot of people, I'm sure, and that's making sure that you have a wine opener or a bottle opener. No one wants to get to a site and find that they can't get the cork out of their nice bottle of red wine that they've been looking forward to all day. So we have separate pots and pans in here. We don't have loads. We've only got a couple of rings on the hob, and to be honest, we don't use it that much anyway. But just make sure that you've got something that's quite versatile that you can maybe do different types of things in. And make sure that you have cleaning products. So for the interior, we have things like, like an all-surface spray, that kind of thing. We have spray for the windows, just making sure that, if you have any spillages or whatever, you can clean up. And also, if you clean up just before you leave, then you've got a nice clean caravan to go away in on your next trip. We also just make sure that we have plenty of the microfiber cloths in. They're all different colours, so we use them for different things. Some of them are for more like the outside cleaning. Some of them are for going around in the morning and just taking the condensation off of the windows at the bottom if it's particularly bad. So yeah, they're lightweight, they're cheap, and they just store in one of our cupboards. So that's the end of everything that we listed. I will put a little thumbnail at the end of this video to our gadget video that we did last year. That video was very successful for us, and I'm sure you will get some more inspiration from that, so check that one out. Don't forget to come back on Wednesday and see all of the things that we use for Reggie to make his trip as enjoyable for him as possible and as easy for us. So that's coming out this Wednesday. And a week today we will be doing a video on the hidden costs of caravanning. So we've done quite a lot of videos recently where we have talked about a number of items that you need, what caravans to go out and buy, but now we're actually going to talk about the real costs involved. Okay, so I really hope these videos have been useful to newbies, either people that have just bought a caravan, people that are thinking about it, but I also hope for, those of you who are watching, which is probably the majority of our audience, that already own a caravan, that we're just giving you a little bit of inspiration. Now will probably be a good time to sign off, because as you can see, the sun's just come out, so I'm going to go outside, have a cold beer, and enjoy some March sunshine. Thank you very much for watching the video, and we will see you
in the next one.
In the next one.